I will start talking. Hi, everyone. This is Congressman Matt Gaetz, and we appreciate you tuning in digitally for the continuation of our Open Gates Day. Earlier this morning, had a radio town hall in Pensacola. I've also had time to discuss the infrastructure improvements that are so essential to the economy of Northwest Florida. I went over to the 7th Special Forces Group and got an operational brief from our service members who serve so bravely there. And now I am here at the Okaloosa County School District Center of Gravity with Superintendent of Schools Marcus Chambers, and really a very special story to tell about one of our hero students and a hero instructor who ensured that the skills developed in the classroom are at our fingertips, ready to be used in the most dynamic and challenging circumstances. We have so much to do to recognize Savion Harris, but Superintendent Chambers, for those who have not already heard the story, and probably if you live in Okaloosa County, you have to be living under a rock to have not heard this story about the heroism of Savion Harris and the ability to develop skills, use them, save lives. So do a little more bragging on one of your best students, Mr. Superintendent.
So thank you, Congressman, and we really appreciate you being here today. And about a week or so ago, I was presented with some wonderful information about a young man who not only used his CTE abilities in his EMR class, but someone who actually saved a life of not only a person, but a young child, a baby. And when I heard about that, I said, tell me a little bit more. And this young man not only saved a life, but he utilized the skills that he is learning in his EMR class to do this. So extremely, extremely proud of Savion.
Well, now, Savion, I got some questions for you. First, how did you gain this interest in the medical field to put yourself in a position to learn these great CPR skills?
Well, in about 7th grade, we had this interview, this STRIDE interview. I didn't really know what STRIDE was, but I was already like in a whole bunch of science classes by then. And my science teacher, she recommended STRIDE. She said, it's something you have to interview for. You have to actually interview with FSU administration, like actual people from FSU. And at the end of our 7th grade, we had to put in an application. We had to do it all ourselves. No parents can help. So then at that point, I was just like, all these classes are fun. Like, let's just keep taking them. And once you're in STRIDE, since middle school, you just ride out to the end of high school, and then you can choose what you want to do.
Do you remember learning CPR skills?
Yes. So we briefly talked about CPR all throughout, like even starting in around 8th grade. We briefly talked about it, but in Dr. McKenzie's class this year, Health Science 2, that was the actual first time where we had to actually focus on it. Like, it's something that we had to focus, we had to do a certification, we had to either put our all into that with teams and everything. So
now, when you were learning CPR, could you envision a circumstance where someone's life would literally be dependent on your focus, your ability to act in a very challenging environment?
Well, not at first. At first, it was a mannequin. We had to do it on a mannequin. But then as we started watching,
if you can bring the mannequin back to life, that's a whole different skill set.
Yes. So I had a mannequin. I focused on the mannequin. I did my compressions and, my breaths and everything. But then as we started watching these little tutorial videos that aided us, other than Dr. McKenzie, we started looking at all these different circumstances. It could be in the rain. You could be on the side of a road. The lady could be pregnant. You might gotta shave some hair off the chest. There's all these certain things that could happen. So,
well, and then tell the story for those who've not heard it yet about how you were able to take this training that you got in school and lickety-split use it to save a life.
Whew. Okay, so I was at work. I work at a local Thai food restaurant, and it was about time for us to go. It's about 9 o'clock, almost time for us to go. I was washing dishes, as I do. And then, out of nowhere, I hear a whole bunch of rumbling and fussing upstairs, and I'm over here, confused. And then, boom, my boss, she ran down with her 6-month-old baby. She ran down the stairs quick, and she was crying and yelling, and it was all in Thai, so I didn't know what was going on. I thought I was getting yelled at. So I walk over there to see everything. Me and my coworkers, Logan and Seth, we all walk over there. We're looking at everything, and then, oh my gosh, we see a blue baby. We was like, whew. We all just kind of stared for a little bit. We were just observing. I guess that's what we were doing. We were observing. And then out of nowhere, we hear this loud scream, call 911, call 911. So then that's one of the first things that we learned when learning CPR, that call 911. So I think hearing that really started triggering how I was going to react to this situation. So my coworker Seth called 911. My coworker Seth called 911. And then I kicked into action. So I got the phone from Seth because he was kind of confused about the whole situation, and I thought I would just be like a better speaker to the responder. So then I started talking to the responder and everything, and then I started, hearing, yeah. So I started seeing that the father was, tapping on the baby's back and everything. So then I decided to get the baby because I knew I had to perform CPR. So while I was on the phone with the responder, I was giving the address, I was giving the time, and all that important stuff. And then I told the responder, okay, I'm finna go into infant CPR. I'm finna go into CPR. I told her, so I put the phone on speaker, and while she was talking to me, I encircled my hands around the baby, which was a really weird feeling. And then I did my 2 compressions after checking the brachial artery and everything.
Wait, show us that. Was that with your thumbs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can do it with your 2 fingers, so your middle and index finger, or you can do it with you can encircle the baby with your fingers and then have your thumbs on top. It just depends which one's more comfortable.
And how long did it take when you began that process to when you opened up the airflow?
Probably a matter of seconds, actually. So after I did the first 2 compressions, the baby instantly started crying. I did my 2 compressions. The baby started crying, and then I felt like a sign of relief because that means something happened.
Yeah.
So then even the emergency responder, she seemed kind of happy. I could hear in her voice, the baby's crying. And then so I got happy, and then the colors slowly started coming back to the baby and everything, and I was just like, whew. So I was relieved, but I still was looking at the baby, making sure nothing weird was going to happen. So.
Now, having been through this, with everyone knowing what a remarkable and heroic story it is, you've become a bit of a local celebrity here in Okaloosa County. What advice would you give people if they find themselves in, a very stressful environment like that, where someone needs help? You obviously were able to have a cool approach. You understood the importance of transmitting relevant information to the people on the phone, but at the same time you're acting. Are there any tricks? Is there any advice you would give people? Because it really could be any of us that find ourselves in a similar circumstance.
Breathe. Just breathe. All this stuff is happening really fast. There's a whole bunch of there's a whole bunch of yelling, there's some crying. But even though this stuff can happen really fast and the baby could have been in danger if it wasn't breathing for much longer, there's a certain time span that you have where you can just breathe, close your eyes, calmly get everything in order. And even if you don't know CPR, you could call 911.
Mm-hmm.
You could talk to the emergency responder with accurate information, calm information, and that's really what helps the most. But I would recommend, even before getting in a situation like that, learn CPR. Go to in Crestview, where I'm from, the fire, what is it called?
Fire department.
Yeah, the fire department teaches it. There's a whole bunch of places that teach it. So learn CPR, just be prepared for that situation.
Now, Dr. McKenzie, Savion is a high-performing student academically.
Yes,
He's involved in a number of extracurriculars.
Yes.
All the things that you'd say, this is a young man who's got his life, just soaring to great heights. Was it a surprise to you that this training that you developed in the classroom literally became life-saving?
It's not a surprise. I'm very fortunate. Most of my students are at that academic level, and when we go through training, I talk to them about we have to train as if it were going to happen for real. So they treat the mannequins, even though they're mannequins, as if that's a real baby or a real adult. I mean, they respect the equipment as if it were real. And we drill over and over and practice. So I've told them, and it's happened before, actually, where a student has had to do that, and I've told them, be prepared that it's going to happen someday, just statistically it will, and as soon as, your training will kick in. So I know that we practice a lot. I hold a high level of expectation for performance for them to achieve their certifications. So I know they can do that. I'm not surprised at all that Savion was able to do that because I watched him in the class. I have them practice over and over again. It's a very important skill.
You mentioned certifications, but I think a lot of people would be interested in that because this isn't just the delivery of a skill. This is a validation where actually, in addition to saving lives, Savion, his students, they bring additional resources into our school district when they earn these certifications, and they lift up our whole district. So if you could talk a little bit about the trajectory of those certifications.
Absolutely. This is a highlight of our career and technical education program, specifically what we have at Crestview High School for students interested in health professions. They don't stop at CPR. They also have the opportunity to pursue certifications as patient care technicians. We also have an emergency medical responder certification, which is just before an EMT. And this year they will be certified or able to test for certification as an EKG technician. So this is the first certification that they're able to achieve, and this is their junior year. So students have had the anatomy class prior to going into the junior year program, and it provides them a trajectory, if you will, towards a career in healthcare, whether that is immediately after graduation in a job as an EKG tech or a patient care technician, which we both are in high need within our state and definitely in our local community. But some of them will go, like Savion, to a university like Florida State University and pursue a professional education where they'll receive either at the bachelor's or master's or doctoral level education because of this program. It sets the framework for them to be able to pursue that later.
Savion seems like the type of student who would do well in any environment you put him in almost any career path. But are there students that you've had the chance to interact with where you really feel like the hands-on learning, gives them a career opportunity that maybe if you just had the traditional educational memorization curriculum, that it wouldn't be as encouraging to those students?
Absolutely. It happens every year. I have students who just hear it's fun and they're not really sure what they want to do, and they end up in our program. We have a very unique setup. We've been very fortunate to have the funding to develop a learning area where we have lecture, and then I have a lab area, and that's all we do are the hands-on things. Everything from how to move someone up in a bed and position them to putting on cervical collars at an accident scene. All of that hands-on stuff, for some students, that's exactly what gets them excited.
And now you have Savion's story to tell all of your future
Yes.
students that it could be
It is great.
them that finds themselves in a circumstance where they need to apply that training.
Even during COVID, we had students who, right after graduation, had opportunities to work, and they are in our long-term care facilities and nursing homes, helping augment that staff during a time where that was critical. And they came right out of our program right after graduation. So I think it's wonderful. I think it's a wonderful opportunity. We are retired healthcare providers. The nurse I work with and myself, I'm a retired physical therapist from the Air Force. So I find that we are growing the future. We understand the importance of the hands-on part and getting them exposed to that. And we also have agreements with our local hospitals. So when we're able to go back, we'll be in the hospital. They shadow providers in the emergency room and intensive care. They go into the nursing home and actually shadow the nurses in that environment as well. So it's an amazing program.
And if someone is watching us right now thinking, gosh, I know just the type of young person who would excel in more the hands-on environment, what are the best resources for parents or mentors to be able to maybe connect young people with high aptitude to this type of learning?
Well, and I might defer to you, but
Sure.
I think I'd say at the beginning, I think starting at the middle school level, doing very well, getting yourself involved in some of our career and technical education programs. And of course, Stride is a direct path to the line that Savion is on. And then of course, if this is an interest of yours, and especially at Crestview High School, getting with the guidance department, administration, and saying, hey, this is the type of a program that I want to be a part of. But you may have some extra information as well.
Absolutely. Just a small portion of our students in the program are actually in that pipeline to Florida State. That's maybe about 30 students each year pipeline in. And we have almost 400 students at Crestview that are in the medical program. But besides that, we have welding and cosmetology and culinary. We have a very robust career and technical education. So it has to do with interest. And I think speaking to your student, even at the middle school time, what are you interested in? What types of things excite you? We have quite the offering, even outside of the medical ones. But most of the time, our students that come to us have this, I kind of thought I might be interested in being a doctor. I might be interested in being a nurse or a physical therapist. That one's very popular. Sports medicine. We have quite the array of it, maybe working in a lab and doing research. And so I think the parents, in talking to their students about what is it you like, what excites you, we have those offerings in career and technical education. And I think that's probably the best way to connect a student is talk with the guidance counselors and find out what it is they're interested in. That's what's great about having so many opportunities.
Well, and we hope that parents take advantage of them. You know, I remember as a product of the Okaloosa County school system, you know, you had your regular path, then you had an honors path, and then you kind of had APIB, but that was it. And now there is such an opportunity for students to design their own future,
Yes.
to build capabilities within their interest set, to not just be geared toward a four-year university, but to actually have skills that are immediately
Yes.
able to be leveraged in a job right after high school. Well, what I know everyone will want to know is what is next for Savion Harris. So give our viewers a preview into kind of the next few years in your life and your goals and where you're headed.
Let's see. I hope to go after high school. Hope to go straight to FSU. Personally, that's my goal. Get a couple certifications along the way. You know, phlebotomy. You know, all the other stuff that can just help me. I'm just trying to be prepared as possible, because I want to start working in hospitals like soon after graduation. I'm also going to be in school, of course. I'm going to be getting all my other credits and everything wrapped together, and hopefully eventually I can go into ER nursing or trauma nursing, and ICU. And that's like a near future type thing that I'm.
Well, you know, trauma and ER nurses are heroes who save lives. You'll be one of the first people who will have accommodated that even before, you know, donning your professional credentials and entering the workforce officially. But what I can tell you is that you are an asset to your school, to our school district, to our community, to our state, and to our country. And I have every confidence that you're going to continue to be an asset with whatever college or university gets to recruit you and to whatever professional organization ultimately chooses to hire you. And it's my hope that your story and this experience will inspire other people to be in a position to be helpful. And then, like you say, to act when that moment calls on us, to do the right thing. And you know, you're an incredible young man. It's an incredible story, and our hope is that it can continue to cascade a lot of goodness. But I hope you become a Seminole, because I'm a Seminole, and I would be very proud to associate with you in that way. But we can't send you along the way without a recognition from the United States Congress. And so, if you'll allow Superintendent Chambers and I to present you this recognition, we've also got something for Dr. McKenzie. Your country is very proud of you, Savion. That is your congressional recognition, and we hope that you'll cherish these experiences and these skills, and that you'll continue to do a lot to help your fellow Americans. And you shake my hand and get one of our great challenge coins there.
Thank you so much.
Dr. McKenzie, I wanted to thank you as well for what you do.
Thank you so much. Thank you for what you do.
Well, it's very likely that you haven't trained your last lifesaver.
No.
You may have others in the pipeline, and thanks for coming to the
Absolutely.
education field after serving our country, being in the physical therapy field as well. But best of luck to you, and
Thank
we hope you'll stay in touch, Savion, as you potentially go to Florida State, and we'll be cheering you along all the way.
Thank you so
All right,
much.
take care, guys.
Thank you so much.
There's one more little recognition from our school district. We also have a challenge coin, and these coins right here, they do not go out to just anybody. These are for individuals who go above and beyond. And Savion, I think this coin has literally only gone to one other student out of 32,000 students, and this is completely well-deserved.
Thank
So
you
congratulations
so
as
much.
well, buddy. Very proud of you.
Thank you.
And Ms. McKenzie, for what you do, this is just a prime example, but you also have had other students save lives as well.
Yes.
So we just thank you for what you're doing preparing kids for the workforce and college. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
so
I
much.
appreciate it. Thank you both.
Thank you, guys.
Savion.
And, Superintendent Chambers, I know that this career technical education has real high acuity in the medical field, but there are other programs that we've been building out. Could you give viewers just a taste of the growth of our career and technical education in Okaloosa County?
Absolutely. Career and technical education in Okaloosa is a huge priority. And over the course of the last 2 years, we've been growing different programs. I do want to highlight coding. And we have a program now starting in elementary, and we call it Kids Code. And students right now in grades 3 through 5, and we hope to get it down to K through 2 starting next year. But in 3 through 5, kids are in after-school programs right now, working with these circuit boards, working with little robotics, and it's starting the foundation at a young age to build to middle school where we have those programs, to build to high school where we have those programs. But we do not want to stop there. We want to create a pipeline from elementary all the way to the workforce, whether the students go straight into the workforce or to college into the military. But we want to be able to provide programs that we can service our community, such as MAG Aerospace, such as Beast Code. And Beast Code's been a great partner with us, for example. So that's just one example, as well as carpentry. Our local building industry, they came to us and said, hey, we need help. And as you know, with the hurricane that happened over in the Panama City area, so now not only do we have carpentry programs at Laurel Hill and Baker and Crestview, but now Pryor Middle School, Choctaw, Bruner, and Fort Walton Beach will be starting one as well. So we want to be a conduit where our kids are getting real-life application in CTE type courses where we can help our local community.
And a lot of people don't realize folks can go right from high school to the job market with these skills. They can save a lot, or they can go on a college path, because oftentimes they're earning college credit right alongside those industry certifications. What do you think it means to a young person's life to be able to step off the graduation stage and have employers already competing for their talents?
I think it's a really big deal. I think about myself when I graduated. I didn't have those talents. I didn't have those hands-on skills. But you think about right now, we have students who, very high-level students, but also they're in welding. Mm-hmm. They're in automotive. We had Waste Management, the company Waste Management. They came to us and said, how can we be a part of what's going on in your CTE programs? So we sat down, we started brainstorming, and they're partnering with us right now because they need technicians that work on their $300,000 trucks. And what they said to us is, we're more than just about trash. We have everything. So now, just as early as last week, Waste Management, they visited Crestview High School and our Okaloosa Technical College, especially the automotive classes, as well as the welding classes. So a lot is going on here in Okaloosa County with CTE.
Let's shift gears and talk a little bit about the learning environment generally in the county. Last time you and I were together, you were building the airplane as you were flying it, regarding giving parents as many options as you could think of for in-person instruction, for digital learning, for additional resources, if there was a blended approach. Give us a high-level view of how the district has responded, what you think has happened to the classroom environment, and maybe any unique challenges that you think we've got to focus on and address as we get into an environment that has more prevalence of the vaccine and hopefully less prevalence of the virus.
Absolutely. So I'd say that this has been a challenging year. It definitely has, I think, for all school districts across the state of Florida, but we've done it. And here in Okaloosa, we knew that it was important to have choices for families. And they actually had about 4 choices. They had brick and mortar in the school building. They had My School Online, which in essence was at home, but doing the same type of work that they're doing in the school building. We also had the blended model at home and in the school building, as well as our Okaloosa Online. So our choices were there. And we knew that we needed to be able to provide for our students, but also our employees, the ability to have choices as well. This has been a challenging year, but our teachers have persevered. Our students and our families have persevered. But the most rewarding thing that I have seen this year is I have seen heroes emerge from within this school district. You see teachers and staff that are bringing meals to families. You see teachers and staff that are working one-on-one with kids after school who maybe didn't have the ability to get to where they needed to be. So I've seen people truly step up and do amazing things this year, and for that is something that I'm extremely grateful for.
You know, we always in education are learning new things, but we're also reinforcing what we have learned. Do you see that blend changing a little bit as digital learning took up a lot of the pedagogy for young people over this last year, and maybe having to do a little bit of remediation for some of those students? Is that going to have to be a renewed area of focus?
No, I think so, but I will say, you mentioned the technological piece to this, and something as simple as Zoom that a year ago was not so simple. And now it's become a mechanism also to deliver instruction, but also to deliver remediation. So as we go into this new school year, in the 21-22 school year, there's going to be many things that we will take with us, one of which will be the increased emphasis on technology and how can we leverage that. You know, we're looking at a program right now that's called Canvas that many of the colleges use, and it's a platform by which students and teachers can interact, where assignments can be delivered, where multimedia can be delivered, and we would have never been in this situation had it not been for what we've gone through. So though we would have liked to have not gone through this at all, there are many things that we've learned where we'll come out even better.
The experience for seniors is one that we remember all our lives. I remember vividly experiences, senior prom, graduation, senior homecoming, and that's been a very different experience for seniors last year and this year. But you were committed to celebrating graduation. The graduation would not be a moment for anyone that we would simply bypass. It was going to be different, it was going to be blended, but you made it happen. Can you give parents and students a preview of coming attractions as to the upcoming graduation season and beyond?
Absolutely. And every time I talk with parents about this topic, I like to remind them my daughter was a senior last year. Your son was a senior last year. So fully understand what you're going through. This year, again, we're fully committed to senior activities beyond just graduation. But let's start with graduation. Graduation will occur on the assigned date and time that all the high schools had planned for. So that's going to occur. We still will take appropriate measures and put protocols in place. Students will be spaced. But last year, where we gave about 4 tickets a piece, we're increasing it to 8 tickets this year. So every family will have the ability to have their loved ones there on this special day, on this special moment. And we know that is so important for our seniors. But also senior breakfast will occur. Baccalaureate will occur. Now prom, this has been a topic. This has been a topic. I've received many an email, and we were not going to have prom in any way, shape, or form about 3 weeks ago. But we have been brainstorming. Things have been changing in Okaloosa. Our positivity rate has been going down. We see the effects in our schools have been even less. So we are looking at each of the high schools are doing a prom that they see fit. For example, Choctaw, they're doing a gala where students are going to come together. They're going to be served desserts. They're going to be served different foods. There's going to be music. That's just one example. So we thought it was important that we still give our seniors the experiences that they deserve, that they've worked so hard for 13 years. We knew that was important.
No, it is, and really this pandemic has impacted different age groups so differently. Again, you and I as parents familiar with some of those senior opportunities and senior challenges, but I also think about, at the elementary level where reading is so important, and we trained a whole generation of teachers to teach reading in person, to have students sounding out things and listening to others read. Is there a specific age group that you're most worried about in terms of developmental deficiencies? And is it your plan to maybe direct resources to any specific group? Because I would just think, man, that 3rd, 4th grade, up until then, you're learning to read, and after that, you're reading to learn.
No, absolutely. And I will say we're concerned at every level, but I think just as you've hit the nail on the head, at the elementary school level, this is critical. The learning is critical at this time period. And that 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade area that you referenced, We are putting extra resources there, and some of those resources are coming from state initiatives where they've provided us resources, additional resources, but from after-school tutoring. We've ramped that up. From remediation that's occurring within the school building, we've ramped that up to what we normally do during summer. We will do a robust summer school for students, so we're ramping that up. In our next year's budget, we're looking at additional remediation teachers, because we know that there's this the learning gap that's real. It's real, not only for some of our students who might have been struggling, but even for some of our high-flying students that maybe they've been at home, they've been working extremely hard, but they know that there might be some gaps. So we are putting a full court press on, so to speak, to make sure that we're doing everything that we can for all of our students, but specifically in the elementary level. We know that that's going to be even more important as we move into the next school year.
And I just think it's ever the more important for parents to be reading with their kids at home. I mean, if there was ever an area of emphasis where you'd really want to double down, gosh, if you've got, the first, second, third, fourth, fifth grader right now, you really need to be doing a lot of reading at home, because that sounding out, that communal element of the reading, if you've gone to a more digital model, would seemingly impact the absorption of that learning, and how important that is. Marcus, there are educators and school superintendents all over America now, as we sit here, who haven't even begun the journey that you've been on for more than a year now to deal with this pandemic in a learning environment. And there was a lot of criticism initially of our Florida plan to always provide parents that option, to have in-person learning as a key element of our strategy. Grade and assess for me the performance of Governor DeSantis in making child development and in-person learning such a central focus of our pandemic response strategy.
Well, first of all, I think I'd give the grade an A, but let me be very specific. So the stance that the governor took, it took a whole lot of courage during a time when there was so much uncertainty. So to have the courage to say, hey, we're going to have school in the building, but we're going to provide families choices. And I think that was also key, to provide families choices. And also the reason why I give it an A is because I know what's happening here in Okaloosa County. It's not an A without challenges, but nothing that comes easy is the way to go. And when things are a challenge and you can still persevere and go through it, that's when you see amazing things occurring. But I've seen students this year learning at all levels. I've seen AP classes that are still pushing forward. I've seen CTE classes that are in full operation. I see athletic kids out on the athletic field that wouldn't have had the opportunity, that are getting opportunities that they never would have received without this year. And I'm not only talking about scholarships, I'm not just talking about winning and losing, I'm talking about how that makes them feel, being a part of something. The band, the chorus, the students, they didn't necessarily have the exact same band and chorus experience that they've had, but the students in band and chorus, for example, the way that they have persevered and maybe playing differently or singing differently, but they're still having that experience. What they have gone through this year, they'll never forget in their lifetime, and they will realize that when a challenge confronts them, that they will be able to persevere. So I am grateful that we're, to the governor, that we're in the school buildings, and I know that I've received questions as well, especially at the beginning of the year. But I think that we've shown in Florida that you can do this. You can do it safely. I talk to all the time here in our school board meetings and different organizations. In our school district, we've had about 4% of our students who have been positive over the course of the year from September to where we are today. So almost 96% have not been positive. So I'd love to have 100% not positive. I'd love that. But we have worked hard, and what our principals have done, what our teachers and our staff have done to keep our schools in operation, I give all the credit to our schools, to our bus drivers, to our MIS department behind the scenes doing so much, to our food service workers, and to our parents who they have been amazing partners with us throughout this journey.
And there are some districts that are literally just beginning that journey. You know, this thing that no one really trained for or expected, that you've now shepherded our district through over the last year. What advice would you give a school superintendent, a principal, a teacher, someone out there who's just getting back to in-person learning, maybe something you learned along the way? I think back to when you were telling me the heroism of some of your administrative staff who were out in the fields setting up mobile hotspots to facilitate digital learning. But you know, what other examples can you give us of maybe a lesson learned?
Wow, I think a major lesson is just to step forward. It's to start, because you can sit there and you can second guess. You can think about all the what ifs, but as long as you have a plan in place academically, for those who haven't started, you understand the technological aspect of how it's all going to roll out. You keep in mind the food service, not only those coming to the school building, but those who will be at the house or those who won't have the means to come get food. Keeping that in mind, transportation, you have to think about. So if you have a well-orchestrated plan, but you're also willing to adjust along the way, I think that's critical. And then the other piece that I think is paramount is you have to communicate every step of the way. And I know we may have over-communicated sometimes, but I think it's critical that you communicate not only with your parents and students, which is first and foremost, but with your employees. That is a big hurdle that you got to get through. And if you can do that well, I think you set yourself up for having a successful school year.
Yeah, gosh, I sympathize with a lot of the educational leaders who are going to have to reignite a lot of that connectivity in the workforce, because a lot of teaching is teamwork.
Yes.
You think of teaching as one instructor in the front of the classroom, but we know that in the faculty lounges, you know, online, offline, teachers are constantly sharing strategies, talking about how to maybe help with a particular student and a particular learning style. And in places where that's been deconstructed, you know, it's going to take some time for that to rebound. And here, we never really lost that because we kept the common thread of the in-person options available. And when, you know, in the very beginning, when we didn't have that, there was just such an effort to connect everyone digitally that you led. We were able to, I think, maintain our identity as a school district, and it's an identity that we're proud of. It's an identity that students like Savion Harris exemplify every day in their skills and in their service to our community. If folks want to stay up to date with that information, can you give website coordinates, social media coordinates, so folks can follow you and follow the district if there are any critical updates?
Absolutely. So okaloosaschools.com, you definitely can go there to get all the information that we talked about today. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook in terms of our OCSD. A lot of information that we put out. We've also just now established a new parent newsletter and employee newsletter, but we also push that out through social media, as well as we've reached out to different business leaders and organizations throughout the school district, and we also push out information to them as well. And I go back to, again, communication is key as we go through this process.
Well, we have to end on a high note, and Music Appreciation Month is always something of a value to celebrate, and so brag on our students and instructors in the music and band and choral space.
No, thank you. And this is a piece that's near and dear to my heart, and I say all the time, if you close your eyes and you listen to students sing here in Okaloosa County, or you close your eyes and you listen to students play instruments here in Okaloosa County, you would think that you are listening to college-level students or professionals. And that doesn't happen on accident. You look at what happens when these sixth graders roll into middle school, not knowing what they're doing, and by the time that they graduate eighth grade, they are very proficient in what they do. Why? Because of their instructors. You look at what happens at the high school level in band and chorus and drama programs, and what they are able to accomplish with their students is amazing. I could go on and on. The list of awards, from the Hobbs Awards to Hall of Fame, that our band directors have received. We have what I believe is second to none when it comes to the arts here in Okaloosa County, and a huge reason is because of the caliber instructors we have in band, in chorus as well as drama.
A lot of them stay forever. I mean, the
That's
tenure
right.
of some of these instructors in the arts in Okaloosa County is very impressive.
It's amazing. I'm impressed every day.
Well, we're impressed with the district. We're proud of the district. It is quite a different feeling here, knowing that we've been through so much of this, that we have been resilient as a community, that our teachers have been there for the families and students, that parents responded when they needed to ensure that the instruction still occurred. It's my belief, Superintendent Chambers, that you have hard work ahead on remediation. I do not believe that in every circumstance, everyone who has chosen a digital option made the best choice for themselves and for their family. And in those circumstances, we'll pay the price more down the road if we don't remediate now. And so, I really think this is an important time to make sure that those basic skills are learned. I think you are going to have to focus a lot on reading. We don't want to be 3 years down the road from now with 6th and 7th graders that are struggling to retain content through reading. And I'm confident that with your focus and with the great team we have here in Okaloosa County, not only will we do well, I think a lot of people around the country are going to be seeking your advice and counsel about how to make sure that their students can catch up and get back to the greatness that our country demands and that our students deserve. I would strongly encourage folks to go to okaloosaschools.com, sign up for your newsletter. Folks can also go to gaetz.house.gov and sign up for our newsletter, which comes out weekly, so that you can get the most up-to-date information. But we're incredibly proud of you. We're so honored to have been able to recognize one of the great students here in Okaloosa County, and we know that the best is still yet to come for us here in Okaloosa.
Absolutely, and thank you, Congressman, for coming not only to Okaloosa County, but specifically to our school district. Very happy. Thank you.
Thank you.